Hello and welcome to Politico's Market Makers. I'm Chris Frates. I'm joined with Politico's Casey Hunt and Ken Vogel. We're going to take a look at this week's political movers and shakers. Who's up, who's down. First up, Arizona's immigration law. A federal appeals court struck down that law on Wednesday. How's that affect Governor Jan Brewer, a Republican?
Jan Brewer, there's certainly an element that she took a hit. The Fed said, the court said that she overreached, that Arizona overreached in passing this law. Overall, though, she's up. This law was a statement. It was a statement that really set the Republican base afire, and they are even more committed to it, and they are even more incensed by this federal court, this unelected judge striking down this law, and we see that across the board. Her endorsement is being sought by Republican candidates. She is up with the base, and I think she's probably even up in Arizona, where she's facing a somewhat difficult re-election.
Casey, is a court loss a political win, like Ken says?
Absolutely. I mean, Jan Brewer was never elected. She filled the position after Secretary Napolitano was selected for Homeland Security Secretary. She was facing a primary before this law happened. This law passes, she becomes absurdly popular. Now, instead of having to potentially deal with an incident, say someone gets arrested and something politically problematic happens, those incidents aren't going to happen because the law's not in effect. So she gets to be the anti-immigration crusader that's gotten her where she is without ever having to deal with any potential consequences.
Another plus side for Jan Brewer is that she put a thorn in the Obama administration's side. That continues today. They got a court ruling that clearly will be appealed. Brewer said, we're going to appeal this. We're going to take it to the next level. That allows her to stay in the spotlight politically while being a pain in the butt for the Obama administration, who clearly did not want to talk about this. Let's move on to Charlie Rangel. Here's a guy, former Ways and Means chairman. He is under a giant ethics cloud. On Thursday, we're expecting a report to be released that will be scathing in its findings that Charlie Rangel used his office for personal gain and improperly. Casey, up, down for Rangel. I mean, can he be anything but down this week?
I don't think so. They're even talking about canceling his 80th birthday party. He was supposed to have a big fundraiser with all those New York polls, Mayor Bloomberg, Senator Kristen Gillibrand, all these people. Everyone's all of a sudden freaking out. Are they going to have to show up at the Plaza Hotel in August and tout this guy who is causing them all sorts of problems? So no, I don't think Charlie Rangel is up this week.
Not only is he not up, though, guys, he's bringing the Democrats down with him. I mean, this is a potent potential campaign issue across the board. I think that we in the sort of political media tend to overstate the degree to which a single member can be sort of nationalized. But in his case, what it certainly helps the Republicans do is build this narrative that the Democrats have sort of been complicit in this culture of corruption, if not at least, or at least that they haven't done enough to sort of drain the swamp, as we hear Minority Leader John Boehner say, and as we heard House Speaker Nancy Pelosi promised during 2006 when Democrats retook Congress, and again in 2008 with the election of Barack Obama.
And if it does go to trial, the trial is going to be in September, several days, like fewer than 3 months out to the midterm elections. So that's all people are going to be talking about. It's not the conversation Democrats want to have.
So moving to our last topic, WikiLeaks. This is the organization that allows people to leak government documents, sensitive confidential info, anonymously. That website then puts those things online for people to look at. They've had a couple big hits this week. They had a document dump, many pages of confidential documents about the war in Afghanistan. WikiLeaks. Good week or bad week?
Good week, I think. I mean, they've really changed. They drove the conversation, like we like to talk about here at Politico, with a story that really put Afghanistan back on the front pages and in the front of voters' minds. Regardless of whether or not this information is new, it made news. So even if we knew everything that these documents had provided, we know that Pakistan is involved, we know that the war, there are ups and downs. This, at the end of the day, changed the conversation and changed the landscape that the Obama administration is facing, which, at the end of the day, is what good journalism is all about.
And not just changed the discussion, which it certainly did, and to that extent it's up. It also changed the discussion and sort of the deliberations about the future of journalism. Is this sort of a new technique, a new method that perhaps will change the way other media outlets do journalism? So on both those fronts, affecting the political conversation, affecting the conversation about sort of journalism from a macro level, they're up. Where it's less clear is sort of to what end. So yeah, they drove the conversation, but is there a lot new here? Is this going to force a change in tack? We saw Congress today approve more wartime spending. It didn't affect congressional decision making on that front, and there are legitimate concerns about whether this is endangering the lives of not just the military, but of civilians who are cooperating with the military in Afghanistan. Those are legitimate concerns, and so to that end, I don't know if you could say that they're down, but it's certainly, I would say, a mixed week for WikiLeaks.
Absolutely. I think to be determined. That does it for this week's installment of Politico's Market Makers. Tune in next week, and we'll be back with you.